What was the most surprising thing that happened to you at Christmas? When I was 15, my mom had my baby brother. That Christmas, I watched as gift after gift after gift piled under the tree for my brother. Meanwhile, only one tiny gift belatedly shows up under the tree with my name on it. Of course, all the gifts with my brother's name on it, I assumed were all baby toys, so I didn't bother trying to figure out what was in them. I was just saddened and perplexed by my one tiny gift. Christmas Eve, my mom has me divide up the gifts and goes, "Well, since you only have the one gift, why don't you just open it so we can get it out of the way," with this big sheeting grin on her face. I opened the gift to find a pacifier inside. Turns out, that was the only gift they bought my brother that year. Every other gift with my brother's name on it was actually my gift. Getting a Nintendo 64 in 1996. On Christmas Eve each year, my parents would let us open a present. I opened a box that had a couple of coloring books and also had a Super Mario 64 strategy guide. Being a dumb 8-year-old, I was like, oh, I don't even have that game. But next morning, opened that bad boy up and there she was. The prettiest sight in existence. Still have a cool picture of my excitement. No, it wasn't that Nintendo 64 kid. My sister got a bag of Kroger shredded cheese from my aunt one year. I had been talking about saving up my Christmas money to buy a Commodore 64. Anyone asking what I wanted for Christmas, I would tell them I was saving for a Commodore 64, so cash was best. I got mostly cash for Christmas, but mom got me the C64 anyway. I was over the moon. Then I said, "This is so cool, I can use the money to buy a floppy drive." Mom was like, "Eh, what now?" You see kids, computing in the 80s was an expensive hobby. A low-end computer costs the same as a decent used car. My fiancé surprised me with a dog last Christmas, which is also my birthday. Before the banana brigade comes for me, a bit of context, we lost our sole dog a few months prior, and our remaining dog was sole only. We had talked about getting her a buddy all fall long, so yes, it was in the works, but just hadn't pulled the trigger, and then he found the perfect one. It really cured my heartbreak from 2022 to love again, and it's been a great year thanks to this little one. Lots of surprises as a kid. Star Wars sets, Legos, video games, but I think the most was actually last year. My weather station had died, it was old, and I was looking to get a new one. My wife and her adult children all pitched in and got me a really nice one. I never tell them what I want because, well, they should spend their money on themselves. We used to get a live Christmas tree every year when I was growing up. One morning, we woke up to live tree crawling with little baby spiders. Apparently, a spider had laid her egg sac in the tree, and once the eggs were sufficiently warmed, the babies decided it was time to come out. That was the last year we got a live Christmas tree. When I was 34 and had an 8-week-old baby, I had a stroke on Christmas. Very dramatically 10 out of 10, do not recommend. There was a freezing rainstorm that took out our power on Christmas Eve. It didn't come back until like the 2nd of January. We stayed at my grandma's house, and I remember as a 10-year-old being really concerned that Santa wouldn't be able to find us. That summer my parents bought a whole home generator. Mine might be today actually. My ex and I said we'd still do Christmas gifts this year, and we are still friends. A huge box turned up and it's full of gifts and chocolate for me and my family. Never really had a lot of presents in my life, and usually I'd end up knowing what they are. I've never had that childhood excitement of a huge pile of presents until today. Not materialistic, but just didn't expect it. Folks got my older sister this nice teddy bear. It was a particular model I'd never seen before, but once she opened it I badly wanted one myself. After all the presents had been opened, my folks told me to go look behind the tree, and there was another one there waiting for me, from Santa. My 3-year-old nephew was running around the house like a wildman, dove onto the floor at full speed for some reason, and cracked his head open. When I was 6, all my family was playing a mass bingo game. I won the second round and won a snow cone maker. I still have it to this day. At least that's what my mom says. I haven't seen it since I was 8, but she swears it's in storage somewhere. The day I caused a big fight and divided the family on Christmas Eve. I was at my grandparents' house on my mother's side. So it was both my parents. My mother had 2 brothers and 1 sister, their sons and daughters and their spouses. Me and my cousin were kids and we were very close, so we're always goofing around and joking. Then my aunt arrived with her husband and his daughter, who was some years older, from another marriage. When she saw me she said, "Hey Kandangok, you know that you didn't said hi to me yet." I just replied, "I know," and before I went to say a proper hi, my cousin started laughing and I laughed because of his laughter. Well, she got mad and thought we were laughing at her and complained to her father and started a fight, which led to them leaving and celebrating Christmas by themselves on their house, and the rest of the family stayed at my grandparents and celebrated there. I was really surprised by the proportion that it took. Probably choking on the Christmas beef at dinner. I had strep throat when I was little, and my junior year of high school I had pneumonia. When the Wii U came out, I once prayed in my head so my parents couldn't have known that I could get it for Christmas, and well, I got it. I love that console so much. 1996. I was 14. I wanted a Nintendo 64 so bad, but I knew they were expensive and impossible to find, so I didn't have any hopes of getting one. In retrospect now, I'm not actually sure they were hard to find. I may have just told myself that so I didn't get my hopes up. Opened my last present to find an N64. I was shocked. I asked my mom how she found one and she said she just walked into Target and saw it sitting on the shelf, the last one. She thought it might be a prank but grabbed it anyway. I still have it in the garage. What was the most surprising thing that happened to you at Christmas? I'm not sure yet. Have to wait for the police report to be available. One Christmas an ex-GF I've been with for many years gifted me with a distance adoption. She paid the first month, the rest was on me. It may seem strange, but it has been one of the best gifts I've ever received. I still keep that commitment after more than 20 years. I've been through hard days with my wife, but never thought of stopping it. She really surprised me with something about me I didn't know. I found 3 things that day. In the morning I walked down the street and found an envelope with $200 and a gold ring in it, and in the evening I was lucky and found a little cat that lives with me to this day. Parents going through a divorce. Mom decides to introduce us to her new boyfriend and future stepfather on Christmas Day that year. A bit weird for us, but thankfully, he turned out to be a great guy. Christmas Eve layoff. Owner sent an office lady whose job was accounting to give us the bad news on site while the owner took off to Jamaica for 2 weeks. We almost burned the place down. My worst Christmas ever. I was married for 15 years. Had 2 kids and never had a present in my stocking. I always filled my ex and the kids' stocking, no one ever filled mine. When I was 34 I spent my first Christmas with my boyfriend of less than 1 year and my stocking was overflown with awesome little things I love. Yep, I married him and 5 Christmas later, I can always count on my stocking being filled every single time. Before internet. Sitting at home on Christmas Day, all presents opened, dinner completed, family gathered and enjoying the time together. Turn on the news. My friend's name was announced as a death in a car accident that day. I jumped up from the couch and just stood frozen in place. Such a switch from warm Christmas to cold reality. I was like 6, and I got the new PS2. Pretty sure my dad wanted a reason to play Mortal Kombat LOL. I didn't even know what it was at first. Covered for Christmas 2019. Covered for my birthday, 12/18, in 2022. I gave a family a Hallmark Christmas. My family always firmly adhered to the whole, it's not about getting, it's about giving. So I love making people smile, and genuinely don't want gifts. I remember the gifts I'd give much more than what I get. Last year, I was doing an underwater bridge inspection for work. and my colleague found a weighted duffel bag on channel bottom. It was suspicious, and we were about to end the day, so we pulled it up onto our boat. As we pulled it from the water, the bag tore, and mud and debris fell out of it. We got it on deck, and opened it up. In all the mud, we found bricks, and corroded bits of broken jewelry, watches, and coins. It was basically all trash, so we started throwing it away. I then noticed a silver chain coming out of a chunk of mud. In the small bit of mud, I saw a sliver of metal with a notch cut out of it. I knew I had seen something like that before, and tried to clean the mud off the item. Under the mud was some corroded coins that were practically fused to the item. I managed to get the coins off, and then I realized what I was holding. It was a dog tag. I knew they stopped putting notches in dog tags after Vietnam, and the information I saw printed on the tag didn't match mine, or my colleagues'. Curious, I threw it up on Reddit to see if anyone could give more insight. It was quickly identified as belonging to a deceased WW2 veteran. We were able to contact his funeral home, and they were willing to send it to his next of kin. Just before Christmas, I got a phone call from the veteran's grandson. He was beyond shocked. His house had been robbed 6 years prior, and of the items taken, that was the most valuable. And he knew he'd never see it again. We talked for a while, and he told me about his grandfather. Through our conversation, he kept going back to how amazed he was to see the tags again. He'd called his mother, every member of his family, and his friends. Everyone agreed this was the greatest Christmas gift anyone could ever receive. He didn't think Hollywood could have come up with a better Christmas story. Being a part of that, making a family's Christmas, was the greatest thing I think will ever happen to me during the holiday season.